We are now having two sessions that in some way will address the two of the key aspects that I comment here. One, more about the toolkits and how universities engage and how partnerships can be accelerated. It's my pleasure to have our colleague and friend Jana Sagazio from Brazil to lead that. Following that session, we have another one that's more focused on advanced technology, more the moonshot-like deep tech. What's happening in that context? So, Jana, the floor is yours. Feel free to invite our guests to the stage. Thank you.
Hello. Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank you, Deborah, very much. You, Roberto, and Chad for our partnership. We have been working together for many years, more than 10 years now. And I just would like to say that this partnership is generating many outcomes for Brazil, for the industry in Brazil. We have produced very important and strategic discussions about the future of the industry, the importance of the relationship between universities and industry, and the strategy on innovation. So just would like to say that we are very happy with our partnership and we hope to continue developing it. Well, now let's begin our panel. I would like to invite Mr. Stelios Goukos, Terracom, Professor Spyros Dimolitsas, Senior Vice President for Research and Chief Technology Officer of Georgetown University, Professor Mahmoud Abidul Wallet, Director of Strategic Innovation, Entrepreneurship, Economic Development of Qatar University, and Carlos Bulhões, President of the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil. So just to give you an idea about the importance of the relationship between universities and industries, the industry in Brazil nowadays represents 22% of GDP, represents more than 70% of exports, of Brazilian exports, 70% of the private investment in R&D, and 33% of the tax collections. So, and it's generating now more than 10 million jobs in Brazil. And much of this is a result of the relationship with the universities and the institutes of science, technology, and innovation. As I told you before, at the industrial system, we have 62 institutes of technology and 26 institutes of innovation, all distributed all over Brazil, supporting the industry in each part of Brazil, but also stimulating new industries. So this is very strategic, the relationship between the industry and the universities, and I consider a little different, but also very important, the relationship with the ICTs. So just to continue and be very fast here, I will ask you some questions, the same question for each one. And we have here 3 questions, so I would ask you to be very objective, okay? The first question is, how to foster a culture of collaboration at speed? How to reinforce this partnership between industry and universities, and how to deliver it in a speed way. we can initiate here, please.
Hello, I'm Stelios Gouskos. I'm the co-founder and chairman of Terracom. Terracom is a Greek ICT company. We are located here in Ioannina. We are one of the largest technology companies in the region. About the question, academia and private sector, in my opinion, are very different worlds, especially in Greece, and even more when we talk about the regional university, like the local University of Ioannina. So every single attempt to bring those different worlds together, I think it's has a very positive impact for both sides and for the whole society. My company is located here, as I said. Today we have 62 employees. We have a very global clientele. Our customers came from 90 countries. Our main market are United States, UK, and Middle East. We have a specialization in the physical security sector, just to introduce what are we doing. And we have a lot of large customers like Heathrow Airport in London. More than 3,000 security officers are using our system. Hilton worldwide for the whole group, more than 6,000 hotels. And for the last 3 months, we have a team in Qatar working for the security of the event that starts, the FIFA World Cup, that starts in 2 days. We are doing a lot of things with a local university. We participate in the mentoring and coaching programs that a local university performs. We are participating in the career days in order to interview students. We employ a lot of students during their internships. They came to our company for 2 or 6 months. And many of them continue their career in our company. And we participate in some boards for the qualification and certification of the boards. And very important, we participate with the University of Ioannina in many research R&D projects. Our company runs a lot of projects in European Horizon 2020 national and regional level. So today we have 4 different R&D projects with the University of Ioannina. We are the coordinators of those 4 projects that have a total budget of about 3 million euros. So I think all these collaborations, all these different things help to bring the private sector near to the university.
Thank you very much. Now, Professor Spyros, your message.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me well? Yeah, it's working. In our institution, I guess we have, I would say, 3 pillars on which we build a team, both internally as well as cross-institutionally. The first one is we have a flexible approach for how we engage industry. So we might license out the technology that we might have. We might form a joint entity with a new company, typically a small company, on which we might have some equity interest, or we might have a founder's interest. So we're very flexible in terms of the structure that we put in place, so we can work effectively with any company that best suits its model. The second pillar is, how do we work internally as a team? Obviously, when we establish these relationships, there's a financial return sooner or later. Some of the financial return is given directly to the inventors or the leaders of the technology that we're talking about. But the majority of the return is actually returned to the department or to a campus or to a school, where you incentivize a larger group of people to work together as a team in bringing this to reality. And the third pillar is really what I call conflict management. When you transfer technology out and you have faculty participating in the transfer, you end up in conflicts often. Who are they working for, and are they really doing the best work they possibly can for the home institution, which is typically the university, versus the company that they may be supporting. We have a conflict management office whose job is to make it work, identify the conflicts and make sure that they're managed properly so our faculty can participate fully in the development of the technology and establish an effective team with whichever company we might be choosing to work with. So those are the three pillars that we use to create internally a team, as well as cross-institutionally a teaming relationship.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Professor Mohammed.
Thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to be here in this Technopark, which is one of the interventions to bring both worlds together. And I agree definitely that both worlds has different culture and different mindset. And I think this is the biggest barrier of collaboration. So how we tried in Qatar University to address this, first we put a strategy, a very comprehensive strategy across the institution for innovation, entrepreneurship, economic development, and engagement. That on the first level, and probably that is the answer to the first panel discussion, what do we need to do as university to transform? And within this strategy, there is a lot of work on the culture of the university, which is more academic, research, and education driven, to train the faculty, to train the students to be more, let's say, business driven as well. So their job, especially the faculty and the researchers, they are not just teaching, they're not just doing research, but also they have a socio-economic role in which they may engage in technology transfer or even a startup, leading a startup. So that is more on the, let's say, the personal level, on the micro level, that's collectively may lead to university culture that is closer to the private sector. But this is not enough. We worked also on the organizational structure. How do we manage this, and the governance models and so on. So one of the probably Middle Eastern kind of breakthroughs we try to do is to have the university act as a private sector through a holding company. So we are spinning a holding company for the university, is commercial arm of the university, completely owned by the university, but acting as a private sector entity, and under it there will be multiple subsidiaries. Each subsidiary represents a potential business domain in the university that interact with the industry. For instance, oil and gas. There could be a special subsidiary working on the oil and gas. ICT, for instance, there could be something. Another one is major is consulting subsidiary, leveraging on the knowledge and innovation in the university and then providing to the ecosystem. So that's particularly how did we do it. We did a kind of strategy, comprehensive strategy end to end. And then we realized the culture inside the university is just academic, it's just research, it's just teaching. So we started putting a lot of training programs for the faculty and researchers. But also for our students, we put innovation entrepreneurship as a component in the curriculum, so they go through it. And then we worked on the organization structure. We had a holding company outside the university, but also we have a bridge with the holding company, which is the office I'm leading, the Office of Strategic Innovation, Entrepreneurship, Economic Development. And we connect the board, in which the director of the office is also the secretary of board of directors of the holding company, and making things work seamless. In our office, the people are both academic and practitioner, so this is how we select them. And then the holding company, the people are much more industry-driven and practitioners with a very probably zero experience in academia. So this is how we provided a continuum all the way from the basic research and education to something in the middle, and then to something that is more kind of business-driven in the holding company.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. George Bizetas, Chief Financial Officer of Dodoni.
Yeah, actually it's Dodoni.
Dodoni.
It's a dairy company located here in Ioannina. And in April 2023, we'll celebrate its 60 years of operation. All started from farmers, milk suppliers here in Ioannina. Είναι καλύτερα? Okay, συγχωρείτε. When they produced the totally traditional and authentic product, cheese, white cheese, which is from a protected origin, the area here in Epirus. On this, it was difficult to think someone of innovation or collaboration with something. It was something totally traditional, totally stereotyped, and in a very specific way of production. Till the recent years, things were continuing to be like this. Then we tried to innovate. We tried to produce with more modern ways, applying technology, producing with different peers of the industry, collaborating with them. And this, we started liking it and being more effective and bringing more growth for the company. In the recent years, we launched new products, especially a snack that was launched recently based on feta, and was nominated as an innovative product in CIAL exhibition previous month among global competitors. This extroversion of our company helped us to interact with other stakeholders, other peers of the industry, customers, supermarkets, key chains, and exchange ideas, discuss, see the modern nutritional trends, and improve our quality and the products we offer by continuing being authentic, being with this stereotype, let's say, with this traditional recipe, but in a more innovative and efficient way.
Okay. Okay.
Now, just to add something more about the university collaboration, because I missed it. Innovation collaboration, I think, in Ioannina, because we are located here, is missing the applied learning. Universities still remain excessively, I could say, theoretical, and students miss the opportunity to apply this knowledge and skills they gain in the classroom to a hands-on experience or a production setup, on a real-world setup. We offer opportunities for internships. We have many students attending internships in our company. We give them the opportunity to develop, to raise, and those who stand up to join our team, which continuously is growing. Thank you.
Carlos, please.
Thank you. Obrigada, Jana. Well, someone mentioned in the previous conversation that no students around. No, I disagree with that. I think the guy in the upper left corner there, was for me a very big example. It's a Greek born in Ioannina and studied in São Paulo. And in the table yesterday night, he started to speak Portuguese with me. Very good Portuguese, by the way. That one there. And obrigado. But why I mention that? Because right now is something like we push a lot to get bigger, and I think we should think to get better. They always get better. Get better is not the only money, but of course, go beyond the poverty line. Go beyond the poverty line. So I'm total committed with this. Create opportunity for one that is left behind. Someone also mentioned Thomas Friedman. I still remember that book, the Lexus and the Olive Tree. I mentioned this yesterday for Deborah. The tensions between globalization and keep the traditions. I feel the same thing right now between innovation and the capability of the society to observe the innovation. A lot of people are left behind. So I keep saying this, we have to commit with the backyard innovation. Right now in Brazil, the place where I'm living is Porto Alegre. Porto Alegre is the capital city of the southmost state in Brazil, in the border between Brazil, Uruguay, and Argentina. It's the south of the south. And there, of course, São Paulo is the main economic engine in the country. But there we have factories, and I have the dialogue as the biggest university there with people that has factories in Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, South Africa, Australia, and China, but still live there. It's someone very big, or some groups very big, and they really want to develop there. We don't want to produce people to go to Silicon Valley. We want to develop people there. Right now, Deborah, I think if I'm able to do this next year, I would like to invite you and all my great colleagues, because we are going to we already started this very seriously, to create the first technological park in the border between Brazil and Uruguay. I think we will be the first technological park in the border between two countries in South America. And why is interesting? The north part of Uruguay is very poor, and the south of Rio Grande do Sul is very poor. All the borders has a lot of smugglers. We are going to the middle of the mess is exactly to try to develop. The challenge in the post-COVID is to develop economic activity with a very large, let's say, multiplier effect. It means if the public money comes and put one unit, we multiply by 100. This is quite challenging, and you have to think a lot. Our small strategy inside the country, no? Inside the state. We talk a lot and help a lot the governor and the city council during the COVID times. We developed a lot of trust. The Secretary of State of Science, Technology, and Innovation is a former professor of ours. At the state level, it's the same. The first thing was to develop a mapping or a zoning scheme. GIS, Global Innovation Summit, at the first time that I saw this, I thought it's Geographic Information System or something like this. No? But we developed a mapping or zoning scheme to map the potential of the areas of the state in order to absorb the innovations. Based on that, we point for the Secretary of State. Look, you have to apply the money for these potentialities. What they did wrong in one area, they put a lot of money for gaming, computer games. No, nobody applied because nobody had the skills. So we just, well, we spend a lot of time in doing this, but by the end of the day, no results. So I think this, trust is one thing. University is like, for me, all universities in Greek, I'm 100% sure, in US or Brazil, or all the countries here, is the uterus for the future. If we have a future, we will be designed inside the universities. I don't know what should be. Another thing, don't be afraid of the changes, no? Everybody during the COVID come to me and say, oh, what is going to happen tomorrow? The world is going to end tomorrow. And I used to say, look, my agenda is full of commitments. This week, let's make an appointment of the end of the world for next week, not this. The only thing that I know is that who will be my left shoulder and right shoulder. What is going to face tomorrow? I have no idea, but we are going to face. We are going to face. For sure, in Rio Grande do Sul, I don't have any intention to put people to help Artemis that was launched yesterday. And just to finalize, because the time is running, I still put my challenge for the Greeks. I would like to buy very good cheese, Greek cheese, in Porto Alegre with a very good price. This is my challenge. You know? So you have to organize your startups to the food processing and also in the management area to put there in a very good price in the supermarkets. It's very good, and I'm ready to buy, but I know a lot of people, Brazilian people, that is going to buy also Greek cheese. Obrigado.
Thank you, Carlos. I believe that a challenge in Brazil is to have this relationship between the universities and the industry. So, as we are very late now and we have another panel, I will suggest to have two questions, and you would answer both questions, okay? Mixing, just to don't be so late. Well, the two questions are, what organization solutions are needed from universities and industries specifically, and what is the role of international collaboration? Okay? So I will initiate with Professor Carlos now.
Well, right now I'm glad to listen my colleague from Qatar, because I think we have something similar already in place, but in a political, let's say, conditions, in a political condition a little bit smaller than in Qatar. Qatar is a little bit ahead, no? But it's the same kind of architecture, no? Something to organize and get outside of fiscal and management and all this, let's say, formal organizational stuff. Get outside of the university, no? And it's like a holding company. We more or less in the same kind of beliefs. On the other way, the last question, Jana, please.
The other question, I will repeat both questions. What organizational solutions are needed from universities and industry, and what is the role of international collaboration? Well,
like here, for me, is a giant, brilliant, very good opportunity to meet this, let's say, global organized society. No, it's GFCC represents, at least to me, opportunity to talk with people from Qatar, Oman, Japan, Zimbabwe, US, many colleagues, Greece, many colleagues from different places. What's the beauty about that? What's the beauty about that? We have something very common, problems. We all have problems. But maybe the beliefs, the cultural values, the administration of your society is different. So maybe we see the same kind of problems in very different perspectives. Because we are able to talk, maybe we are able to teach and learn and increase our capabilities to face the problems. This is my reply for that. Obrigada.
Thank you, Professor Carlos.
Obrigado.
Now, George.
Now, regarding the organization solutions needed from the university and the external collaboration, my examples before, I think, cover that, because the change of culture for us, this environment that is fast growing and emerging, was this change we needed in order to emerge and proceed toward the future. Of course, applied learning, as I mentioned before, is something that is necessary and of critical importance for us and for the universities. Also, connecting with what Mr. Governor mentioned before about the quality of life, the cost here in Epirus, and also that it's based in a primary sector, in agricultural sector. Maybe solutions from universities that cover modern technologies of cropping, of predicting weather, of statistics, of data analytics, which will be utilized by industries in order to produce and safeguard the quantities they need and employ more people locally and attract people from other regions. Now regarding external collaboration, this group here is the perfect example. We extract our product, we export our products in every single country that people are here, so you may be customers of us. We try to interact more and understand the needs of the external markets and apply it to our production and our products and our mentality. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Professor Mahmoud.
Thank you very much. I think in my previous intervention, I elaborated a little bit more on the organization structure, just to summarize. So what we have done in the university is first create a strategy that is designed for the context of the university and Qatar. That is very important. And it was end-to-end strategy. And then structured, followed strategy. We had two structures that has been implemented, so it's a dual operating model. Internally in the university, the Strategic Innovation Technology Economic Development Office that works on the training, on the support program, on the IP, technology transfer, and so on. And then the external entity is the holding company, Qatar University Holding Company, which is connected also to the office in one shared governance. So we report in the office to the president, and the president is the vice chairman of the board of directors. I'm the director of the office and secretary of board of directors of the company. In terms of collaboration for Qatar, this is extremely important for two reasons, actually. The first reason is internal, because one of our kind of innovation, economic development mandates is to work with the corporates, which is mainly they are operational in Qatar, the oil and gas, the aviation, the construction, and so on, and to leverage the whole country and become more knowledge-based economic country. First, you need to start with these large enterprises. It's reverse question in Qatar than in different countries. In different countries, you work with the SMEs, with the startups to have the knowledge-based economy. But in Qatar, first, you need to start with these large enterprises. And transforming them from operations to innovation, this needs a lot of international collaboration. Because in the oil and gas and the construction and so on, there is a lot of innovation hubs everywhere in the world, in the United States, in North America, in East Asia, and so on. So that is reason number one. Reason number two is we are trying also, parallel to this, to push the startup ecosystem in Qatar, especially like the startups coming from university students and faculty. And we focus initially on the supply chain of the large enterprises. These are the startups that we want to drive. But we want to drive another startup in every other domain, depending on the capabilities in the university that is not necessarily matched with the ecosystem, large enterprises. And Qatar is a very small country, so the market is very small. And for all our startups to become scale-ups, we design for them the training and the coaching and the support program with the concept that Qatar is your pilot, and then you need to go regional and global. And to do that, we need a lot of collaboration also with the innovation hubs across the world, including the one here in Greece.
Yes, thank you, Professor Sparos.
I'm next, thank you. I'm going to tackle the second question first, which is the international collaboration, and I will start by saying that my institution does primarily life sciences research. We're best known for things like Allegra and more recently the first ever cancer vaccine, Cervarix and Gardasil, which is used to treat, to inoculate against cervical cancer. So for the international collaborations, I would say if you're dealing in life sciences, you're dealing with enormous problems. So there is no doubt that international collaborations are necessary. That happened to some extent, I guess, during COVID. But in reality, everybody was working on anything they possibly could without communicating with anybody else. There just wasn't enough time for the communication. So yes, there was a lot of international activity that resulted into the vaccine relatively quickly. But it's not the kind of activity that I think we can afford to repeat for other things that are needed in life sciences. You know, so if you're going to treat pancreatic cancer, you cannot afford to be operating at such scale of disorientation. So yes, international collaboration is needed. I'm pessimistic that it could happen because a lot of these things are funded by governments, national governments, and national governments have been virtually impossible to coordinate, you know, their funding priorities, let alone the award of funding dollars. On the other question around you know, the development of innovation. There is one thing that I haven't heard anybody talk about during this conference, I guess this event, and I want to tie it to the excellent presentation we had last night on the advanced manufacturing in Belfast, and which is the Death Valley. And so our institution, like many others actually, has created what we call a gap fund. This is a special pot of money, if you like, that is directed exclusively towards innovation that has, or research that is showing some potential but not quite ready for commercialization yet. The challenge with the GAP fund is that you know, you can't get government funding, otherwise it wouldn't be, you know, value of death, and you definitely cannot get industry funding, so you have to find another funding source. So if you can't get industrial money, you can't get government money. The only other sources are your own institutional dollars that in universities are very hard to direct towards this capacity, or in the United States philanthropy, which is the case of how we have actually funded our own initiative. So that presents a bit of a conundrum because not many other countries have got the culture of giving that we have in the United States and the ability to fund this special fund, if you like, out of philanthropic dollars that we've been able to do. So that's it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I have this one. Thank you. Both sides, the private sector and the academia, have to adapt, have to learn how to change their mindsets. They have to try to understand the other side because this is the only way they can have a win-win collaboration because each side has a different priorities, timelines, objectives, vision, goals. The University of Ioannina used to be very isolated, far from private sector and from the city, but the last years this came to change. At the end, when the students of the university will graduate and leave the university, they have somewhere to work or they have to build their own company. So it is very important if these students, during their studies, have the opportunity to work during their internships or through R&D projects, to work in in many companies, because this is a way to test their options, to try their different skills, and at the end to find where their passion is. So it's very important for students to have these options to collaborate with the private sector while they are studying in the university. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe it was a great discussion, even if it's short. And the conclusion could be that considering that the countries and the institutions have different models and stages of collaboration, anyway, we need to continue develop new models and new partnerships for the industries, for the universities, between university and industry. In the case of Brazil, I would say that we need to develop a culture of collaboration between universities and companies that is not so developed as in other countries, and the collaboration between the countries. So thank you very much, and let's go to the next panel.
Shiana, Stelios, Georgios, Mahmoud, Carlos, Spiros, thank you so much for this. I think that we saw a variety of realities and maybe some of the things that are in place in one organization may be missing in another one. For instance, you were just mentioning your gap fund, Spiros, and I was thinking about other universities, and including, not sure if Carlos is here yet, and just imagine Brazilian universities, how important that would be. But maybe they don't have the organizational capacity to do it at this point. So I think it's very interesting to see this diversity and how different tools are present in different realities and the potential to use those. Jim.
A critical concept in terms of bridging the valley of death and getting ideas. And in fact, the University of Auckland has a very similar approach to that. And it's been remarkably successful, actually, because people are really driven to take those ideas to scale, and it now sits at about a $40 million evergreen fund that we invest in those, and we get enough out of the successful ventures that to preserve that evergreen nature of the fund. So if we can do it well, it's really successful.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jim.